Right, so Madam Web, I watched it so you don't have to. Is the title of the video. That's the thing that gets you to watch this. Yeah, this is another like Sony Spider-Man project that can't use Spider-Man, even though technically spoilers for the movie. I mean, I'm gonna spoil the whole thing because A, there's not that much to spoil. Nothing happens in this movie that's of note. That's really gonna that's gonna inform the rest of this cinematic universe, this Spider-Man cinematic universe that Spider-Man's not allowed to be a part of for some reason. First thing that I'll say, if you're planning on going to watch this, I hope you're watching it with a Limitless or Cineworld equivalent, or whatever the equivalent to that is in like internationally, because this movie's not not worth paying for by any stretch of the imagination. But yeah, if you are planning to watch this, when the credits start rolling, you can leave. If you haven't left before that, you can leave when the credits start rolling. I waited, there was nothing after it. I thought there was at least going to be like a Michael Keaton showing up and being like, we got to put a band together. No, nothing like that. There's nothing after the credits start rolling. There's nothing. But yeah, it's pretty clear I didn't like this movie. If I had to say one positive thing, I think Adam Scott does well as alive Uncle Ben. I think he does. I think he's good in other things that he's in anyway. So he's the best part of this movie is Adam Scott as Uncle Ben, as Ben Parker. I think it's the action sequences are kind of creative with how they have like a non-combative superpowered character deal with someone with like abilities that are combative, like how they have someone whose ability is precognition deal with. And I think the way that they show off Madam Web's powers, they're completely made up. They're completely bollocks for the movie. But some of the ways that they show her powers are kind of interesting, and that's giving the film a lot of credit. I think everyone in this is doing the best that they can, but the script is not good. And the things that they have to do and say are not good. There's not really much that redeems this movie outside of just being drivel. I mean, this is another one to add to the pile on top of Morbius of movies that you can watch to make fun of. And with this, you can even make fun of how it's made, because obviously no one watched this and greenlit it. Well, people greenlit it, but they didn't proof watch it, and you can tell that just from every scene that Ezekiel Sims is in, because his lip syncing or what his mouth is doing doesn't match with what's coming out. Also, usually in a Spider-Man movie, whenever Peter's like doing acrobatic shit as Spider-Man, whenever he's got the mask on, he sounds different to how he would be just talking to Mary Jane with the mask off, not doing anything, just sat down. When he's like doing acrobatic shit, he sounds out of breath. In this, when Tahir Rahim is doing that acrobatic shit as Ezekiel, he just sounds like he might as well just be sat on a teleprompter or sat like doing telemarketing. He's just, there's no difference between like Ezekiel that's running with his mask on, and Ezekiel talking to his woman at the chair in this movie. Overall, the character of Ezekiel just treat it like a completely new character, because that's what Sony did. They didn't take anything from source material, because first off, he's a villain in this, which he's just not in the comics. The one comic that he's in is he shows up, he's never met Madam Web, first off. That's just made up for the movie. He shows up, tells Peter, by the way, you're not the only person with spider powers, there are other people like you, and instead, your powers aren't science-based, they're based from mythology, they're totemic, and this, that, and the other. I've done a video on Spider-Man Coming Home. This is the story that he's in. Basically, Ezekiel teams up with Spider-Man to fight Morlun, and Ezekiel ends up dying. But he doesn't actually die, and supposedly he comes back at the start of Spider-Verse, or things he says informs Spider-Verse and where that story goes. But basically, whenever Ezekiel's in a thing, he's in it with Morlun, but Morlun's not in Madam Web. Would the film be better with Morlun in it? Probably. Would it be better if Ezekiel was swapped out with Morlun? Probably. But Sony already did vampires in their last movie, and it didn't go too well, so maybe they were maybe they wanted Morlun to be in this, but they saw what people thought of Morbius, and they were like, no, change it. Who's this other character that's in the same story? He looks kind of cool. We'll put him in. And do we know anything about the character? No, just make it up. And that's the same with everything else. The poster for this movie is a lie. If you're going into this thinking you're going to see sexy Spider-Woman cosplay, that's the last minute of the movie. The collective minute of this movie is sexy Spider-Woman cosplay. Not that that's what I was going into this movie for. I was going into this movie specifically for this, to make a video of it. Because I was like, if this movie ends up being good, it's going to be a good video. If the movie ends up being bad, it's going to be a good video. And that's it exclusively it. And it turns out the movie is god-awful. So this is going to be surely a great video. But yeah, it's kind of embarrassing that the lip syncing was so off. It's kind of embarrassing, in all honesty, because that's just a thing you should pick up. That's just Sony just not caring. I think there is some chemistry between the three girls. I can't remember any of their names. I know none of them are correct. I know one of them is supposed to be Julia Carpenter, but her name's not Julia Carpenter. It's Julia something else in this. But what's the point of the change? Just call them what they're called in the I don't know. But they're also characters I don't know that well, and that I don't think anyone knows that well, which is why Sony put them in a movie, because it's no one cares about these characters, so they won't care if we got them wrong. That's why they put Ezekiel in this. It's just, imagine a lucky dip bucket, you're blindfolded, you put your hand in, and you just pull out a load of different random names. Oh, Ben Parker, Madam Web, Ezekiel Sims. Just, that's Sony's head office. And they're doing the same thing with whatever Kraven the Hunter's going to be. I think Kraven the Hunter's going to be better than this, because it's very difficult to sink lower than this. But yeah, the CG's terrible. The opening 10 minutes, we see this like tribe that all have spider powers, and they're like running across treetops, but it looks like something out of a PS2 game. It doesn't look like something that should be coming out in... It looks like Hulk, the Ang Lee Hulk movie from 2003. It looks like how Spider-Man looked in the 2002 movie, the Tobey Maguire one. It just feels like this movie is the early 2000s, and I know Spider-Man is a beloved movie, the first one, beloved. Willem Dafoe is just perfect as Green Goblin and that, but this feels like the Ben Affleck Daredevil. This feels like Catwoman. This feels like all of those really bad early 2000s superhero movies just poured into one. It's like, what are you using as reference for this? Oh, we're going to use The Spirit. We're going to use also really bad early 2000s. We're gonna inform everything from this from the people that did everything to do with Deadpool in X-Men Origins Wolverine. We're gonna exclusively talk to the director of... We're gonna inform every decision from what happens in X-Men 3, The Last Stand. It's just... I don't understand how a movie like this gets greenlit and gets made. And nothing against anyone that's in this, because the actors are doing the best job they can. I feel so bad for Tahir Rahim, because it really, does not do him any favours in the, him getting other roles in the future. I hope he does, because I want to see that actor do something where he's good in it. Kingsley Ben-Adir just did the Bob Marley movie. He was one of the best things about Secret Invasion. Whenever he has a monologue or anything, it feels like that's when you're in that show. The rest of it, what's going on around him, is terrible, but he's good in it. And I'm glad that actor has got a movie now which everything around him is as good as he is. So, and if you're going to watch a movie this weekend, go watch that one. Go watch the Bob Marley movie, because that is truly a good movie. Madam Web is all of everything that's wrong with Morbius, with none of the memeability and none of the Matt Smith charm that movie had. That movie had Matt Smith dancing around a pool shirtless, so at least it has that. And it has him having an absolute ball. This movie has poor lip syncing, bad, a terrible villain, the worst I've ever seen. It has unlikable characters. It has the worst writing of any superhero movie, including all of the ones that came out last year. The Flash is better than this. That is and I'm the number one Flash hater, but this is inarguably, I think, the worst superhero movie I've ever seen. I think, because with everything else, you can see that the people who made it at least wanted to make a good product. The people that made this wanted to make money, and they wanted to make action figures, which ironically, I haven't seen any action figures for this movie, and I think even if I did, who's buying Ezekiel Sims? Who's buying Dakota Johnson in a paramedic suit. You know, weirdos. That's who's buying it. Weirdos. But yeah, let me know in the comments below if you did see Madam Web. Let me know what you thought of it. If you liked the movie, let me know why. If you didn't like the movie, also let me know why. But please don't just say in the comments, women in movie bad, because that's not why this movie's bad. This movie's bad because of the people behind the scenes not caring. It's not bad because women are at the forefront. You know, the women at the forefront are doing the best they can in a movie that's falling apart around them. They're like the dog in that meme of like the house is on fire and he's just like, this is fine. Nothing to see here. But yeah, there is a good movie that could have been made somewhere here, and I think this, if instead of Ezekiel was Morlan, if the dubbing was correct, and if the lip syncing was correct, and there was a little better writing, and I was more fleshed out with Madam Web and what she was all about, because it tries and it fails to make you care about Dakota Johnson's Madam Web. And if maybe it was just one, if maybe it was like Terminator where there's just one person to protect instead of three, because you can't, there's not enough time to care about all three. So just have the one person that you're protecting. Probably Sydney Sweeney, because she's the most popular actress of the three. But yeah, there's just not that much more to say. Just the movie doesn't give anything, so I'm not gonna give too much more time to it. Yeah, just let me know what you thought of it. I'll see you guys in the next video. Hopefully you enjoyed this, me kind of ranting about Madam Web. I think I've been fair. I hope I've been fair. I didn't want to come across as if I was just hating for this movie for the sake of it, because I think a lot of people will tell you this movie's bad and there's nothing good about it. Just hate on this movie, walk out, don't watch it. For me, I'll say, don't watch it, save your money, go watch the Bob Marley movie instead, or pay for your weekly shopping. But I will say that this is the one that I think would have worked the most without Spider-Man. I think a Morbius movie would have worked without Spider-Man. It kind of does. That movie's fun because Matt Smith is in it, having fun. This movie is just, it could have been better if Sony cared. If Sony cared more about making good movies than making money, you know, Sony just stick to the animated stuff in the future. I will say though, I do think Morlan is coming sooner rather than later. I think Morlan is like I think he's the big bad, either, because the rumour is in Spider-Man 4 it's going to be a villain that we've never seen on screen before. Spider-Man Homecoming and Spider-Man Far From Home were both that. We've never seen Mysterio before in live action. We've never seen Vulture before in live action. We've never seen Shocker before in live action. We've never seen Molten Man or Hydro Man or whatever the wind thing was meant to be. We've never seen those characters before in live action. We've never seen the Tinkerer before in live action as well. If they do it street level, which they should, they can, they can right the wrong of actually having Michael Mando come back as as Matt Gargan and actually have him be Scorpion, and maybe he gets the symbiote during that movie, or in the after credits scene, and he joins the Dark Avengers at the end of that. That would be kind of fun. But I think if Sony is in charge of that movie and what happens in it, they're doing whole hog live action Spider-Verse, and they're doing Morlun and the Inheritors. I think that's the logical next step that they're gonna take after this. I think if Marvel's in charge, they're gonna want to do street level, maybe fit Daredevil in there somewhere, have like the big bad be Kingpin, but have Scorpion be in it, and maybe bring back Booking Woodbine's Shocker, so you can have some street level characters. Maybe have Bullseye show up in it. I think that would be kind of cool. But yeah, let me know in the comments below what villain you want to see show up in Spider-Man 4 as well. I'll see you guys in the next one. Base.